premier bot lane duo is like the Corki Nami, but Corki Nami has fallen off a little bit in priority over the last patch, I want to say. So I'm not sure if any of these teams are like chomping at the bit in order to pick that right away. We might be seeing potentially a just save for second phase and try and get our top side immediately snagged up, because it did feel like the top side was a lot more eventful than the stuff transpiring in the bot lane. I think that the influence that we talked about with Gala was seen a lot more outside of the laning phase with those Enchanted Crystal Arrows. As we talked about the Rumble maybe being possible for Breathe, IG are actually going to be the ones to ban it. And we still have stuff like the Xin Zhao available. We still also have stuff like the Ryze available. Ryze is another champion that has also kind of fallen off in priority, at least in terms of how effective it is as a B1, as Lucian going to be the last takeaway. I mean, like, it does kind of feel like IG, or JDG rather, are wanting to prevent any of those big bot lane duos from coming through.
They are.
Orianna banned, but Nocturne going to be the response instead. I am wondering if we'll see JunJia kind of do something similar to what he did in game number 1, where you have, okay, let's do a champion that's really good in level 6, but let's counterpick with a champion that can punish a lot of overextensions pre-level 6 that Nocturne can't respond to.
All right, we'll have to keep out a look for that. Yeah, Lucian's been like the new hot bottom lane pick to go with, going back with his former duo and Nami a lot of the time, with Emilio also coming out with the Lucian. We saw it from one extent and missing in the first series. We're getting the Varus, though, a staple of the AD carry meta for most iterations of the bottom lane over the last couple of years. It's taken a bit of a dip, but still finds spots to come back into play. So Gala going to grab that one, and the Maokai is going to come out. We're bringing out the old tree in the roots here from, likely, I assume, JunJia, right? We're not doing any fancy vampire Maokai support. Yeah.
And there it is. I mean, Maokai has a lot of kill threat pre-level 6 and is able to really hit the ground running. Is also very low economy. So I think if JDG wanted to go for a bit more high DPS champion, specifically in the solo lanes, they would have that ability because of just how little gold JunJia needs in order to actually thrive in this game. As we wanted to see Breathe on a little bit more of a carry champion, and Jace is certainly going to fulfill that desire. Locked in here for IG. Now, what are you going to be, I would imagine, rounding out this top side with? Unless they've got something like a Nautilus that they really want to go for in support, I would imagine this third pick will probably be Breathe blinding a top champion. But you see a Jhin hover and a Jhin locked in, so I see you rolling your eyes, Slayer, and honestly, to play devil's advocate, this champion hasn't been, like, I feel, nearly as bad as people have been talking about. My biggest concern is a lot of his pairings are going to be now just banned away, right? Jhin Bard is not going to be available. A Karma Bar or a Karma Jhin is also something else that has kind of popped up here. That's already off the board. So a lot of the champions that I think Jhin pairs really well with are not going to be here in this game. And JDG are going to take away another one. I think that Alistar actually works with Jhin pretty well, but also works well with Varus. So it kind of feels like a 1-2 punch that JDG get by locking that one in. Shout out to Tabe, the man on your screen.
Yep, one of the GOATs when it comes to the coaching role, and in particular, his approach to drafts has been such a marketed improvement on every team he's been a part of. Think if you missed it last year, all the AL drafts you love so much,
how could you?
That was the man behind it with his, really good eye for how to approach some of these drafts. Yeah, I don't think Jhin, by the way, is as bad. I will just get upset if I see the famine build, as people call it. Like, if I see a Yomu sprint here from Jachi, I'm saying it now, folks, it's a 2-0. So we'll have to see how Jachi goes around that one. The Rakan is also another pairing that sometimes comes across for Jhin to try and set up those deadly flourishes. Yeah, I am hard-pressed to... I'm glad I am not the color caster trying to figure out what Mako is going to try and pair with this Jhin. But what is HongQ going to pair with JunJia's Maokai? Because Azir is going to get banned here, and I wouldn't be shocked, Quax, if we don't just see a Ryze ban next up here for IG.
Yeah, I was going to shout out the Ryze ban too. I think that it'll probably be IG's last pick up here for their ban phase. And if it isn't, I think that is just an easy slam there for HongQ. Does leave them in a bit of a deficit for... Yeah, does leave them, though, in a bit of a deficit for early game damage, I'm a bit afraid of. I mean, Varus obviously wants to get those items before really popping off. Maokai, you're not looking at for DPS, and Ryze is going to need to stack up his Roa and get that actualizer. So it does mean that JDG are going to have a bit of a slower tempo game, which could be good for IG, as we did already say that this is a comp that spikes off level 6 and does have a good amount of facilitation with things like Jin having that deadly flourish. But while we're waiting for JDG to get this lock, and I do also want to mention that Mako, there was a graphic in one of IG's most recent series that we put on here that talked about the Mako meta, where he's very effective on the enchanters, but not amazing.
I had that one made.
Not amazing at the engage champions, as that is a Tryndamere lock-in.
For Xiaoxu?
Yo, Tabe, did you overcook? Tabe, did you overcook?
Well, I'm asking you, man.
I'm asking Tabe.
Well, Tabe's not going to answer you, Quax. You got to figure it out yourself.
The screen. Okay, so we have a Tryndamere lock in here. IG are kind of shuffling through a multitude of champions. I think Nautilus just kind of has to be the pickup here.
Yeah,
not an amazing pairing with the Jade, and not one of Mako's best champions, like we were talking about.
Meta.
But
nope.
Yeah, does, I think, allow for this Jace to really stand in the spotlight. Because I'm looking here, and there is a lot of opportunity for Jace to hit those shock blasts, just with the amount of CC given here by these guys, as we are going to be seeing... I'm really struggling to figure out what JDG are going to use to round out this top. Yeah, now IG are going to take away the Rise. What do you have left in the mid lane pool as a good response? I mean, Anivia is still up. We got HongQ maybe as an answer.
HongQ, Anivia, yeah. So this is going to be just the second Tryndamere game for Xiaoxu, if this is going where we expect it to go. So just want to point that one out here. He's yet to win. Only played one game in his career on this very champion. So that's a fun mark. Don't know exactly the last time we saw in the LPL. I'm sure somebody will come up with that one here. HongQ, yeah, what exactly... Are you really willing? I guess you have an AP jungler. Are we just getting some really rare solo lanes from JDG? Tabe wants to let these solos run wild. The Tryndamere Yone combo. I mean, listen, man. Jachi, you have no effect on this game, brother. I hate to tell you.
Yeah, this is a really interesting Tabe cook-up here. So we've got... God, Tryndamere Yone. So, okay, right out of the gate,
is this solo queue, man? What's going on?
So we had nothing happening in top lane for game number 1 in the laning phase. Now the entire game, I think, revolves around top lane. I think that both junglers are probably going to be pathing up toward this lane. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Vampire and Mako say, roll quest be damned. Like, we're going to be running toward this top lane to try and influence this 1v1, because these are both damage dealers. We've got Jace versus Tryndamere. If those fall behind, what value do they bring? If you answered nothing, you're correct. So it feels like a pretty difficult game to play out if your top laner falls behind in this game, as we are getting some word that the last...
Yeah, I'm getting exposed. Alk Battery, the beloved figurehead of LPL English here, has exposed me. I should have remembered that Xiaoxu tried a Tryndamere against Bin at first stand. Maybe that's why I don't remember it, Quax. It did not go well at all. That's probably why I'm forgetting it.
So this is a Xiaoxu special. We're going to have to see if it pans out. The Tabe cook continues, and JDG, can they continue their winning ways?
There we go. Officially off to the races in what could be a very, well, disastrous or awe-inspiring performance from these solo lanes. It is very fun, especially for Xiaoxu, to try to not only get his first Tryndamere win, but for Tryndamere to get its first LPL win. Yeah. And I like its odds in this composition. It's such a fun strategy that we're going to see approach. Oh, hold on. Level 1 shenanigans. Mako, you get a dredge line? No. Okay, not any further. Okay. Whenever you see, like, oh boy, there's a Nocturne that's going to be flying over my team's head. Tabe just said, Quax, he's like, all right, bet. I'm going to send 2 crazier people flying at your back line, and we'll see who comes out better.
Yep. It's a bit of a friendly hands check. That's how the LPL likes to do it, especially the top laners. But I kind of going back to like 45 seconds ago, we did see the runes, and Breathe, crucially, is going to be running the phase rush. So I think that is actually a really smart decision. You're just looking for these quick little trades. If Xiaoxu decides to dash in on you or spin in on you, I guess if you want to get more precise with what he actually does to close the gap, then you could just hammer for him, knock him away, and then run with that phase rush. So there are plenty of disengage options for Breed, not many disengage options for Xiaoxu, which just highlights how important it is that this Tryndamere has a good time. He is also running the Ignite, so he is playing for lane, and frankly, JDG are definitely playing for him.
Talked about Renard's lackluster laning as we get a spotlight on the mid lane itself. Definitely need to see, maybe not necessarily like a really strong lane from Renard, but need to see him operate with some level of respect, right? Knowing that this Yone is such a threat to just dive all in, much like you talked about with this Tryndamere into the Jace. But a lot of that action will come towards level 6, so Quax, to maybe help out Jwei to just power farm level 6, do expect this Jace and the range versus melee matchup of Renard to swing both these solo lanes early in IG's favor, no?
I would imagine so. Just, again, the jungle influence is really something that I'm keeping my eye out for.
Absolute hero
as
right there.
I'm looking at the junglers right now. JunJia had to cross over and now has made his way onto the top side. Breathes wave bounced back, so there might be an opportunity for the Maokai to look as...
Oh my god, Vampire! The alley sec! Peko was not ready for it. He takes a turn shot, flashes out. Gala is out of mana, but he's going to flash forward. He's going to need about 2 more to get this done. Bigger shield comes across from Mako, and Chachi was ignored and disregarded, and now he's just going to double up the JDG bottom lane. 2 kills to Chachi and IG.
We got to hold up. Chachi gotta round the corner, gets the last hit, and yeah, Vampire goes down. Gala, though, looking for the aggressive play, but the lack of barrier meant that he just falls down the moment he walks into that bush. Mako gets an auto attack off. And a solid start here for the IG bot lane. We said there wasn't going to be a lot of action between these duos, but it seems like they are looking to prove us wrong here, Slayers. Yeah, we do get a replay. And Gala is really playing as if he just has barrier, I think. Either that or he underestimated the damage of this duo, and Mako just walks back in. That is definitely unfortunate. But he has the TP, so at the very least, he'll be able to get back to the lane and pick up some of the farm that'll be more than likely pushed under his turret. So it's not the end of the world, I suppose, for JDG, but Chachi is going to be a lot harder to kill now. Actually opting for the steel caps first back.
What? What is on my screen? Oh, okay, you know, I will say the approach to Jin lane is to get your tier 2 boots like fairly early, but it's almost always Swifties. I don't hate the steel caps into the solo lanes he's looking at, but he's also playing AD carry. You just got a double kill. It never feels nice, Quax, as an AD carry player, to be like, you know what, I just got a double kill. Yeah, I'm going to buy steel caps and a longsword. He had enough gold for a BF sword if you wanted to go Stormrazor.
Definitely did. This will, at the very least, delay his ability to get some of those big damage items. Gala, though, is going to also have to take that detour because he is going for a tier item. So it's not like he's going to be punching them in the face right away with something like a Retrix or a lethality build. He's got to make sure that he gets that component first. So at the very least, the AD carries are on even playing field damage-wise, but the big thing is just that one of them is harder to kill.
Yeah, for now, Chachi will be a bit safer compared to a lot of AD threats on the map here. We'll see how much of that really proves dividend if any sort of fight manifests in these next couple of minutes. We have Jwei going for a bit of a two-piece combo. Aggro's the dragon, but then sets his sights on the Scuttle Crab. Jungler Quax calls it out. He's got the paranoia now, and JunJia will have to respect that and back all the way away from this river.
I think the rest of JDG are going to have to respect it. JunJia has no camps on this side of the map, so if he wants to get to level 6, he'll have to cross over and cede control of this Drake. So really good macro play coming out there from Jwei to use that level 6 to just threaten JDG off of that river. We'll lose a couple of top camps for it, and maybe JunJia places a little bit more vision, so this might make it harder for Jwei to influence this top lane matchup, which we haven't seen a lot of, at least not, I would say, the expected level of action in this top lane matchup. We thought it was going to be them at each other's throats constantly, and it might just be 3 members of IG at Bree's throat.
Level 6. Nature's Grasp gets a hold on to Breathe. Xiaoxu does, of course, have that Undying Rage, which he will pop seamlessly, and Breathe had no chance to get out alive. Good cross map there from JunJia and JDG to trade out that first dragon.
Oh.
Paranoia up here for Jwei.
Ooh, the heal. Yeah. Even if he quits there, I mean, JunJia's in the area. Xiaoxu also still has flash, so you probably actually don't get that kill if you're Jwei because that heal comes through. So, like you said, really good cross-map play. I didn't actually think that JunJia was going to be able to make something happen on the top lane after Jwei initially kind of zoned him away from the bot side by taking that dragon and taking that level 6, but he managed just to make the most of it and get some influence here on this top lane matchup 1v1. As now we've got the grubs coming up in about 20 seconds, and this is really important for both top laners to have if they want to continue getting that gold and having that high economy style that both the champions really enjoy.
All right, keep our eyes out for that, as we're still waiting on the classic caster saying whenever Nocturne's in a game, your first paranoia has to be a good one if you want to get set on the right foot forward. Jwei is yet to find an angle to use that ultimate nonetheless, but his support is getting decently cheeky towards this top side. Mako going for a long con play here into the Tryndamere that does not have that Undying Rage. But Xiaoxu senses something is amok, and he's going to back all the way off his tier 1 turret, which was smart because Jwei was hovering there with the paranoia available. So the overload's only going to take some farm away from Xiaoxu unless JunJia really wants to bodyguard, but left already carries her own devices. Couple snares, force out some cleanses. Joshi going to cleanse those chains of corruption. And everything else kind of just settles down a bit. Maybe?
JDG are first to the river, or at least first to the objective. So now IG are a little bit split. You can see that Breathe is away from the rest of his team, so they're going to have to be careful how they approach this fight. Mako is looking for a dredge line, but he has to be super careful because if you dredge line in, there's a chance you don't come out.
Okay, HongQ baits the dredge line with his Soul Unbound. I kind of like that.
Yeah.
And it'll allow JunJia to pick up 2 of the 3 grubs. A rare trade coming amok. Oh, IG actually not trading. They're instead going to Realm Warp Renard on top of 3. He gets Alusec into the turret. Renard! What was that, brother?
Oh my Lord. He just gets headbutted, and then he gets I don't even remember the name of the item, but he get Bramble smashed into the turret. He just gets brought deeper and deeper into JDG territory. Renard with an oopsie of all oopsies. His team didn't even look like they were gonna back him up. No one else was in the Realm Warp, and they like hesitated to walk toward him. They were gonna go mid, but then Renard really wanted to make a play happen. Ends up actually giving his life to it, and Xiaoxu gets his 2nd kill of the game.
And now that Undying Rage timer is back up, so Xiaoxu becomes a lot harder of a target to go after. And JDG still end up winning that, what felt like really amicable trade that was going on between Jwei and JunJia. The Tryndamere now has access to mites. And they're looking to rinse and repeat the same play here on Debris, who's trading heavily. Ignite going to come down. Vampire's going to use that Unbreakable Will to just take up the turret with ease. And Xiaoxu, with the full passive stacked up, just crit slams, breathe down. 3-0 for Xiaoxu as he hunts his first ever Tryndamere win in Tier 1.
I mean, dude, there's literally nothing that Breathe can do. Him saving the flash is absolutely the correct call as well. That's the 2nd time that play has happened. First it happened, JunJia rounds the turret with his ultimate following him, and then Vampire does the exact same thing. Your towers, like, they are not real. Like, you've got to deal with an Unbreakable, you've got to deal with a Undying Rage, you've got to deal with a tank Maokai.
Fake turret shots.
Yeah, fake turrets. Like, this is all the way... This reminds me back when turrets were quite literally fake and would deal, like, no damage on their hits. Might as well have those.
Those are some... careful what you wish for, Quax. You know, I guess you're a jungle main, so you would really love that.
I love that.
I don't want whatever you're cooking up there for the Right Balance team, nonetheless. Shout out to when the turrets used to have lasers, too, after 2.
Shout out to that, yes. Yes. That was a lot of fun. I don't actually know. Why did they remove that? Anyway,
because tank players cried too hard that they couldn't tank 15 billion turret shots.
Yeah. JDG looking to get their first Drake of the game. You can see the IG are first to the river, and they actually have a lot of vision around this objective, so they should have no problem starting it up. We can also see the reset here for HongQ, so he'll have to teleport back. There are plenty of wards for him to teleport too, and I think where he TPs will actually be indicative of how JDG are feeling about fighting this. Mako forced to flash.
It's a chance of corruption out, so Jachi can save his cleanse for something more important, like a Nature's Grasp, perhaps. JunJia trying to play for this second Drake, but IG overloads successfully, and Jwei smites it away. Infernal Soul on tap here for game 2, and IG set up very promisingly to make that their clear win con.
I think back in the top lane now, I think one thing JDG really want to do before this next Drake spawns is get Xiaoxu out of the lane. We're going to have a Rift Herald in about 2.5 minutes, and I really want to see JDG redeploy their side lanes, or maybe even just mix up the lane assignments a little bit. If you put Gala and Vampire toward the mid lane, I think that helps significantly in trying to get some of that top lane priority, because put that top lane, free up the Tryndamere, he'll be a very valuable commodity and a major threat in some of these team fights to try and wrestle control back of the Dragon Count.
But for all we've talked about, Xiaoxu and the lead he's garnered, the gold lead is near hundreds between both of these teams so far. And why is that? Well, because Mr. Jachi does have an 1,000 gold lead that is built up over Gala thanks to that double kill. And I am happy to report the Hex Optics rush does, you know, quell my fears of the Jhin lock-in of past here. It's going to allow this Jhin to scale pretty well and scale for crit here in this game. Quax?
I got a little bit worried. I thought I didn't immediately see the plated steel cap, so like I assumed at first that Jachi like sold them or something.
Oh yeah, that would be
But
crazy.
no, roll quests are OP.
Quest.
Yep, manages to trick me, but yeah, like you said, Jachi having that first item to this Jhin is going to have a lot of value in the future fights. But my question is, are we going to be seeing Jachi in this fight up toward the top side? We can see that HongQ is now in the top lane. The kind of mix-up of lane assignments that I said earlier is in fact happening because both of these teams really want to go for this Herald on spawn, because it basically means that if you get it for JDG, you can free up Xiaoxu. He'll be free for these future dragon fights. And no turret has been taken either, so just getting the gold alone is super valuable.
I think what we're starting to see from JDG here, Quax, is them settling into maybe their strategy for how the rest of this game plays out. We saw them get the first 2 grubs. You're talking about them trying to play hard for Herald. But I also think one of the real intrinsic strengths of Yone Tryndamere is these are 2 really hard champions to deal with in side lanes.
Yeah. And we do see that now that top lane role quest has been completed, Xiaoxu will have the ability to join up with the rest of his team with that teleport if need be. Herald about to spawn, and river control dominated here by JunJia. So I'm interested to see if IG will approach this fight or if maybe they're going to look for a cross-map play.
Well, JDG are on to the Herald nonetheless. No cross-map can really manifest for the time being. HongQ just going to make sure Mako, I was going to say gets away from the pit, but HongQ is just going to slice him down. And the Herald goes over to JunJia. So that is the former Oysters syncing up again, just like game 1, to put JDG ahead in the gold lead. And, well, they're going to continue their bro love again as they look for Breathe, who once again is going to likely die in the same spot he's gotten dropped 3 times in a row already. HongQ will flash to get it done, but it's the same plan, just sub Xiaoxu out for HongQ.
So, oh boy, here we go. Realm Warp plus Paranoia.
First Paranoia, HongQ's going to dash. He's going to go solo bound and create some distance, but Renard will flash after him. He's got to go back at some point, but he might kill Wei up as he comes back to the present, and now he's swinging blade after blade. Knockup lands, and JunJia and HongQ outplay Renard and Wei again!
HongQ does end up going down, but it's still way more gold being given over to JDG. And going back to that initial top dive is JunJia.
Oh my god, JunJia!
Okay,
quicker back, bro. Quicker back. There's nothing to see here, everyone.
Yep, tactical execute there from the JDG jungler, Kappa. But dude, Breathe, like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. What happens if you fool him a third time? Who are we shaming if you get fooled a third time, Slayer?
that is an important question that I don't have the answer for you. Instead, watch this highlight, little bro.
Yeah, so honestly, the initial engage for this was really scuffed. I mean, we saw Jwei was actually forced to flash to cover the distance between him and the Paranoia range, which made it a lot more difficult for him to operate in the 2v2. So I think Renard just went a little too soon. Jwei wasn't in the area. And now, back to live. A Dragon has been started. This will be soul point for IG, but JDG are very strong at the current moment.
This is what will really define the rest of this game. Can JDG with their strength shut down this Dragon? Oh my god, Vampire, he flashed after Jachi. Gets him to flash out, but look at Xiaoxu! He's TP behind the Fed Jin, who has nowhere to run! Spinning slash, ignite over top. JunJia's killed off Jwei in the background picture, but Xiaoxu, he's not giving up. He's got slows, he's got resets, and he's got undying range to continue to fuel his bloodthirsty rampage as he takes Breathe and Mako down with him. Here comes the curtain call, though, and Renard is able to find the kill finally on Xiaoxu. But look at what it cost IG just to get rid of the damn Tryndamere.
And they also got the Dragon, so you're not getting any soul point as IG either. Mid lane turret pulse, and HongQ
sealed! Renard's fate sealed to the death realm once more, courtesy of HongQ.
HongQ and Xiaoxu, the Yone and the Tryndamere. One guy with a really big sword and another with two somewhat tiny blades, as we do see the replay of this fight, and I love this from Vampire. He knows that Jachi has flash, he forces him over the wall and serves up the Jin on a silver platter to the Tryndamere. Doesn't end up getting the kill, so he won't be able to eat said meal on a silver platter, but he still manages to get the chase down. Mako falls, Breathe. I don't really know why he did this. He had to have known that Undying Rage was up. He goes in and tries to, I guess, test Xiaoxu's reaction time. So, double kill for the Tryndamere, Dragon for JDG, that's the important thing, and a dead Jwei as we go back to live.
Quax, I need to ask for a grading report on Jwei's paranoias, because I fear it is very low this game.
Ooh, a grading report, huh?
Yeah. I'm at, you know.
No, I think that if I gave a grading report, it would be simply demoralizing. You know, we already said it. Like IG have one of the biggest like fan followings of anyone in the LPL. So I fear that if I give my honest opinion, I will be a target. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just like Renard was a target of that Nature's Grasp play there for JunJia, but for once, JDG are not willing to dive under a turret to kill off a solo lane. That's something new.
The turrets do not exist. The real turrets were the ones that were the friends that we made along the way.
Did you just try and match? I respect that. The real turrets are the friends we made along the way. Quax, how much do I have to pay you to get that on a t-shirt with your face? I want that quote on a t-shirt.
Oh, you know, give me Jwei's salary for this from this game. Yeah.
Well, that's you know how many shirts I can make off that, man? I could sell.
Yeah, mass produce. Okay, it's commerce. Okay, it's the supply and the demand of the world. You'll be a rich man.
Well, we got to find the demand first, because right now the demand, it sounds like it's just me.
Maybe JDG fans will have demand.
Okay,
you know.
Okay. All right, we'll talk about that more once we're off the rift, nonetheless, Quax, and we get into some venture endeavors of our own. It's JDG that are working their way over towards a Baron play as they're up 5,000 gold and really just setting up shop in the jungle formerly known as Jwei's top side.
And with the saplings as well, I mean, IG literally, like, this is not your territory. This is, like, blocked out with, like, a PNG of something, of just, like, a black bar. Is put over that part of the map. There's no way that IG can really put themselves in a position to reclaim that space, but maybe they can go on here. Oh,
good flash from Gala. Oh, that Bramble Smash actually gets Jwei out of the chains of corruption, so they're not able to kill off Jwei for his paranoia forward. Does get a valuable summoner off the Varus, but that would have been a lot more valuable earlier in the game. Right now, that's kind of inconsequential, as JDG will now feel a lot more confident about just starting up the Baron. They know there's no Nocturne that can fly all the way over the pit wall with the lights down anymore.
Yep, now Baron, like you said, being started. good realm warp there, actually, from Renard
One
to get
minion.
vision, so they know. HongQ.
Oh my god. Knockup City, courtesy of HongQ. Vampire wants in, gets a knock of his own, and here comes Xiaoxu. Doesn't use the Undying Rage just yet. Somehow holds on to it about 1 HP. IG looking for a turn back as they force the flash out of Vampire. Renard going forward, but he gets twisted and advanced on and served up on a skewer to HongQ. A Deadly Flourish is going to find Gala. But it's the solo lanes that we really care about. As long as they're up, JDG are eating good. His Breathe is on the wrong side of the tracks. Trying to outpace the old tree, but this is his jungle. He knows the right path forward. HongQ has to respect the burst that Breathe has. He'll flash on top of him. HongQ, though, going to use the Soul Unbound to stall for the knockups to come through once again. HongQ just too pesky for IG to ever kill off of this game.
And now JDG have the Baron. JDG also have control of that bot side. We're going to see the teleport come through from HongQ, so he'll be able to shove that wave in. They should be able to pivot onto the Dragon in due time. JDG are just running away with this game, and in such exciting fashion here, Slayer. Seeing the Tryndamere and the Yone, seeing the solo laners get their flare back in a split that we said it was kind of lacking in that department is super cool for reassuring us that this team is capable of having those X-Factor plays, of having those X-Factor champions, of having that Tabe cook-up when the situation calls for it. Faith restored, at least for me, in this series. From game number 1, looking clean with it. Game number 2, looking clean with the comp. As unorthodox as this, you can't help but root for this team a little bit when you see champions like this succeeding.
The ingenuity, the creativity, it is awe-inspiring. Quax, I do agree. But Wade's looking to turn the lights out on all this glory towards JDG. Gala without flash is going to start eating some of these curtain call bullets. It's a Renard Realm Warp in to try and kill off Gala, but the fate sealed from HongQ is going to grab both Wei and Renard and trade Gala out valiantly. And look who's on the back line. It's JunJia flashing after another member of IG. Xiaoxu's going to pick up the kill with the slam of a crit ballad sword. And all of a sudden, it's just Jachi watching as his playwright turns to horror. The only member of IG left standing at his home, his base, soon to be assaulted.
And the winter of IG seems to be continuing here in the LPL at 8.6k gold lead here for JDG as they will break open the base, at least in the mid lane, if not the bot lane. Looks like HongQ is going to depart from his split-pushing escapades for now, but inhibitor taken. JDG are just one team fight away from likely being able to call this a 2-0.
Look back through that, desperate play here from Wei. Again, it's an aggressive Realm Warp coming out from Renard. But at this point, you got to kind of respect it because IG are so down and out that these are really the only kind of plays they feel like they can make. His lights go out again, but it's HongQ going forward, and he just turns Wei into dust. Dredge line for Mako trying to create some space. Good Deadly Flourish from Jachi along with Renard's Rune Prism to try and stop Xiaoxu, who flash spinning dashes after Jachi. Piercing Arrow, not going to hit its mark for Gala, but JDG have done enough bruising. Now they can start battering onto some Nexus turrets. Without some key ultimates, but with one super minion, they're feeling confident, but Renard's wave clear may be enough to stave off IG for now.
They don't have the Baron. There's also a good amount of wave clear on the side of IG, like you said. Death timers are starting to expire. JDG are looking for their last play to try and put a bow on this game.
Goes into the stasis. Dive doesn't work out for JDG. Curtain call going to come out here. Vampire pops the Unbreakable Will and gobbles down on the 4-course meal that was the Jachi curtain call. Deadly Flourish going to land though too. His ultimate is now dissipated. He's going to have to flash away from Wei. The Q, oh my god, gets him down to a couple hundred HP points. Maybe even lower. Another Deadly Flourish. Gala this time will step up to block it. Nature's Grasp. Oh, they're looking for a turn here. Xiaoxu has the full pass bar stacked up. Dredge line lands onto JunJia. HongQ unbinds his soul and seals the fate of IG. What a combo from HongQ. And now Xiaoxu wants it on the action. Piercing Arrow with the lights out. Doesn't matter. Gala finds his mark. Wei tries to throw himself out the problem to fix it, but it's too little, too late. Gala triple kill and JDG rounding back into that split 1 form, that second place form that sent them to first stand, and they just bruised and battered IG to do it. 2-0 sweep. JDG back to 500.
It has been 1,462 days since we last saw a Tryndamere get a win
Wow.
in the LPL, and that streak is broken with the cooking of Tabe and the execution of Xiaoxu. Almost 4 years, Slayer, on the dot since this champion got a win in this tournament, and it's done by JDG in extremely clean fashion. What a series from them. Faith restored, you have to believe, for some people who were lacking it over the course of these last couple of weeks, seeing JDG's performance in those series.
Quax, you put it so aptly there. The noise was getting really loud for JDG. It wasn't just, people saying IG look a lot better, which they did as a team coming into this series. You still have AL that are a sleeping giant. They're starting to wake up off of a swept series. BLG is still one of the best teams in the world, we feel like. And then it's the top esports roster that's stopping all of Group Ascend. All these names not named JDG. We're putting so much pressure on this squad. Hopefully we can look back at when the full regular split is over and see this as a huge turning point for JDG, because the gameplay, like you mentioned, was the JDG that we knew in that split one playoff run.
Yeah, I mean, that is the fond memory of JDG throughout the year, being able to get to first stand. And I mean, I think that now that we are rounding the corner toward I believe this was the last team that JDG had yet to play, or JDG or at least IG, it was the last opponent they had yet to play before we started rebounding to those second round robins. So we're going to start seeing rematches be a lot more common here in the next week or so, at least in Group Ascend for split number 2. And JDG have to make sure that they maintain this form, because this was a really good showing from them. If they can go into the series and rematch against some of the teams that they lost against in that first round robin, they can rebound back to that second place finish potentially. And that would be really cool to see. Off to a cold start, but then, managing to warm up as the split goes on. Almost the inverse of what is happening with Invictus Gaming right now.
Yeah, Quax, it's their 4th series loss in a row after that 3-0 missile barrage that they brought onto Group Ascend with their hot start. So we've kind of landed. It almost feels like we've now understand the ceiling and maybe starting to understand the floor for this Invictus Gaming roster. But they also will have some time to, study the tape on these big losses. And like you mentioned with the round robin format, they're going to get another shot against, JDG and some of those other teams that they've unfortunately dropped to over the last week or so.
Yeah, they hit the ground running, but to quote a famous, Minecraft death, motto, they hit the ground too hard. And you fall and you hit yeah. So now they keep having that happen. I know, I saw your face. Where is this going? But
I wasn't sure, but you stuck the landing. You did not hit the ground too hard with that landing, Quax.
No, but also IG are not hitting the landing at all. They're breaking their legs, attempting to do it every single time. And
yes.
I feel like this struggle really just comes from the fact that we aren't seeing the win conditions come through of those first 3 series, right? We saw that Breathe was one of the big carries. He was significantly stifled in this best of 3.
Yeah,
like, game number 1, put on a tank, wasn't able to really do anything. Game number 2, dove like 5 billion times under his own turret, wasn't even safe under there. So I can't even be mad at Breathe based on the way this game went, because, I mean, what are you going to do when they're just diving you constantly?
This is not his fault.
It just kind of feels like IG aren't playing to the strengths we saw them play to in those first 3 series wins. And if they want to get back to form, if they want to get back to that hot streak, they're going to have to find their way by getting Breathe ahead, by allowing Jwei to be more proactive early. And frankly, I think Renard really needs to start fixing his laning. A lot of people have been saying that this guy is like on Fraud Watch. I remember there was like an Aragon tier list where Renard was like king of Fraud Watch or something like that. And I didn't really believe it, because I have yet to really cover a ton of Invictus Gaming tape this year. I am starting to see where the man is coming from, because there were a lot of plays. I'm looking at that tower dive, very random realm warp. Like, that was insane. The first play of game number 1 was insane. Like, these are very uncharacteristic mistakes from any LPL player, period. And Renard, I think, making them is really hurting IG in the early phases.
Could not agree more, Quax. And yeah, glad you brought up Aragon. I know my boy Aragon is eating good off of that JDG 2-0, one of the biggest JDG fans in the space. Love Aragon. Shout out to him. JDG though with the 2-0, Quax, I kind of want you to walk with me a little bit on this one, because I understand now the Twisted Fate call here from Tabe. It was a simple, it was a simple call. Basically, Tabe told HongQ, listen, man, you want to play a Yone game? You got to give me a TF game first. Yeah. The trade-off worked out, because to me, HongQ is clearly the player of the series in this win.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think it was also really bold of JDG to go give HongQ the Yone. Like, I was thinking in my head, Anivia's up. HongQ loves this champion. It is an amazing counter to Rise. They literally could have just said, put the fries in the bag, bro, to HongQ, and allowed him to play an Anivia game that is significantly less flashy than the Yone. But they decided to give him Yone, which I think really goes to show the faith that this organization has in HongQ. He has had his own, I would say, individual inconsistencies and individual struggles at times in the LPL since he has joined at the beginning of the year, but I feel like he is getting better over time. I think that this is a player that a lot of people were excited to see, and he's living up to the hype.
Yeah, he is turning into a superstar on the LPL stage, nonetheless. Let's see the spoils of his victory with the updated standings. We'll take a look very quickly at where this murky group Ascend starts to maybe get some clarity. Not really just yet here. My word. Look at that pocket right now, Quax, of third through fifth. Third through sixth, I guess, but third through fifth, I mean, NIP's hot start. They just 2-0'd BLG. JDG now back and forth, but AL also fresh off a 2-0. Are starting to round into the form that we know them for of Split 1 past.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that TES are above BLG, the fact that NIP are above AL, if you had told me at the beginning of the year that these were that this was like an actual thing, I probably would have found it very hard. I would have believed you, but I would have found it very hard to believe. And the way that those two teams in particular are managing to actually get wins is super impressive. NIP being able to be third place is such a unicorn prediction. Like, I imagine there's probably one guy that figured NIP would smurf in Group Ascend, and he is a prophet if he exists out there. But, I mean, now kind of throwing our attention from, that kind of third through fifth or third through sixth that you talked about, like, to me, it also is really telling of who is going to actually end up in that 7th place spot, because a lot of people going into this split were under the impression that there was going to be like BLG, WE, and NIP, and then like everyone else in between. But the way NIP have been playing and the way that this, kind of split has been shuffling out, like, it feels like this is really anyone's ball game at this point. I think the overall level of Ascend is actually really high right now because it is so unpredictable as to what these teams are going to do and who is actually going to come out on top.
I like it, Quax. It means we are going to have a fight all the way towards the end of this split here. Still a blaze out for Split 2 playoffs nonetheless, but I like the picture you painted that all these spots are really going to be up for grabs, and we'll see who can really claim that top spot, because you're not that used to seeing top esports at the top of regular season standings, Quax. I know, new guy on the block here at the LPL English, but that was the norm all of 2025, man. They always found a way to top the regular split standings and then not make it count outside of Split 1 finish, obviously, when it came to those more important playoffs in Split 2 and 3. As we look to wind down our show, though, Quax, I always want to give a pretty... Oh, actually... An important shout out will come in a second here. Of course, we still have more matches. As you can see, we are now in the Saturday sphere as our next matchups here. And how about it? Off the rip here, we get a triple header, Quax, and the first match. Our first match is top esports at IP. I mean, hey, they just took down BLG. Who can't they take down? Am I right?
I mean, this is going to be a series that I am totally going to stay up to watch. Like, this is probably going to be the most exciting one of the night. Not to detract or take away from the other two series that are immediately succeeding it, but
I'll detract from the middle
JDG, yeah, a little bit. I mean, WE have had a lot of struggles in this split so far, but who knows? JDG work in mysterious ways sometimes. So, Just putting it out there. But then like Weibo AL immediately after that. That looks really exciting as we, kind of talk about and hype up the middle of the pack. I think that these teams are definitively middle of the pack for sure. So who's better middle of the pack? Who's more middle? Who's middle-ist?
who's middle-ist? That's also a playoff rematch, right? It's still feels weird to say, but Weibo were the ones to eliminate AL from the lower bracket to get onto that third place finish. So definitely some bad blood there off of that matchup. Going to be an awesome Super Saturday that you all are definitely going to have to tune into. But that means that our show here is coming towards a close. Before we get towards that close, we might get to see Player of the Series or Player of the Game. Our awesome producer Shivam will go towards that when we get it. I think we're still currently going through highlights, so I'd like to quickly take this time.
This is a highlight, man. Like
I mean, you knew they were gonna show that play again. I want to very quickly make sure two important, amazing people get their shout outs that they deserved, and that goes out to our two elite coffee supporters, my friend Aaron Soup and Mong. We adore you two as you are elite coffee supporters. Those two and their extra special pledge financial contribution help level up the broadcast you are watching now and give back to a cast and crew who strive to give you an LPL English project every single day. Hours be damned for us North American residents as myself and Quax. So thank you very much to Aaron Supamong. And if you're curious about supporting us on Coffee at all, there are links below towards it. It really helps keep this broadcast running, and we could not do any of this without you guys. So big shout outs there. Quax, we're going through these highlights, so I guess we kind of expect to see what these end match rewards are, right? We expect a HongQ. Do you think you'll get Player of the Game as well? I'm expecting Player of the Series.
I really want Xiaoxu to honestly... Xiaoxu to
I'd take that
win
trade.
Player of the Game. Like that would be really fun. But I think as far as Player of the Series is concerned, I would absolutely take HongQ. I think that it is really fun when you're talking about Player of the Series and there are like 3 legitimate candidates, right? Because even though HongQ had like a lot of pressure, I think that JDG had or JunJia rather, had a amazing series himself, was very effective in the jungle and just being able to link up with his mid laner and play around those win conditions. Gala as well, like very good game 1 performance, slumped a little bit in game number 2. Everyone on JDG did their job, and I do think that HongQ probably was the most efficient at it, but you can definitely see how every single player worked to make this 2-0 possible. And talking about Player of the Series, I feel like a little bit of the contribution has to be given to all of them in some way, shape, or form.
No, I appreciate that insight. This was a 2-0. We didn't feel like anybody, even Gala, for all of his struggles, made like some huge mistakes in this series. Most of them played pretty well to form. So multiple people up for Player of the Game or Player of the Series is warranted in a performance like this, right? So we'll see where those awards go. Fun fact about Mr. HongQ's Yone, by the way, they looked really good in this game. Coming into this match with, I believe he had 9 games played, he was at a 44% win rate, one of his lower. So he made the Yone look real
50.
Nice. Yeah, maybe bumps up to, oh yeah, good math there,
Yeah,
right?
it's 10. Yep.
Yeah, it's quick math. Listen, man, I went to school for, well, you also went to school for talking about words, not math. So you're just
that is
showing
true.
off. All right, so they give it a HongQ Player of the Game.
So I would
like
Player of the Games, like,
I mean,
logically.
we know it's Player of the Series, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Little bit bummed, honestly. Like, I thought it would have been really cool to see a Tryndamere Player of the Game, because I probably am the only one on the LPL English. You and I would probably be the only casters on the LPL English cast that have seen a Tryndamere Player of the Game, because of just how rare the champion is as a whole. So that would have been kind of a
You didn't even get a vote, Quax.
No.
The JunJia.
What? Like, what? There's no way, man. I mean, okay. In fairness, the roams from everyone else on JDG were what set the Tryndamere up for success. It's not like he grabbed it by the throat and got a bunch of solo kills. He had help from the rest of the team, and one of those big helpers was HongQ, Player of the Match. Literally no surprise there. Very well deserved, and a very fun series from the man himself.
Well, he's only got less than a day to celebrate his victorious Player of the Series, Player of the Match in this 2-0 for JDG, because JDG will be right back in action tomorrow against Team WE. It is a Super Saturday on tap. We are closing out a